It's official, folks. Iowa statistically is the worst offense in college football. They dropped another spot or two to 133. They are the odds-on favorite to win the Big Ten Western Division and could do so as an 11-1 football team with the worst offense in America.
Unreal.
And those things really don't have to change. They don't have to improve on offense to win these games against the likes of Northwestern, Minnesota, Illinois to win the Big Ten West. Here it is. The only team in America, I think, that could defeat a team like Wisconsin by 2 scores, only scoring 15 points. We got Steve Merrill here from Wager Talk to break it down and probably try to make some sense out of it. You can catch Steve's complete work at Wager Talk TV or wagertalk.com, and you get the complete look at college football there. All right, here are the Hawkeyes at 31.5 over under, and is a 3.5 point favorite against Minnesota.
So my 10,000 game database simulation has actually liked Iowa several times this year. Even when their quarterback was out a few weeks ago, it favored it by 8. I think they're only a 2-point favorite in that game. If you recall back against Purdue, they won it by 6. And we talked about it here on the show even that, I thought that was an overreaction for a quarterback. I mean, how can you say a quarterback injury is worth anything when you're the worst offense in college football? So the database continues to like them. This is not a typo unless the database put an extra digit in front of it. I've got my 13 points in my simulation winning this game. So there's definitely line value. And yes, you hate to take an offense this bad, when they're laying a good amount of points. But here again, as you said, the line is only 3.5. So it's more of a straight up win situation. Would really like gotten it down to 3, but I've actually seen a 4 pop here on Thursday afternoon while we're doing this. So I don't think it's hitting that key number of 3. What else is also moving? As I look right now, we're doing this Thursday afternoon. The Wager Talk live odds screen is actually lighting up as we're talking because this total was around 32.5 when it opened, 31.5 this week. Now down to 31. I even see some 30.5 starting to show at the Circa in Las Vegas, which was one of the sharper leading indicator books out of Las Vegas. So it does look like this total is going to be 31 or less when it kicks off on Saturday. And we never talk about this, but 31 is a very key number for obvious reasons. 17-14, that's kind of the projected score based on the odds here. 21-10, 31-0. It could not going to happen with Iowa probably, but there's a lot of numbers that get you to 31. And it's hovering right around there. So at 31.5 or less, I do like the under. I'm not sure how much longer that's going to be available. But there is value with Iowa here, and it's just such a fun team to talk about. And by the way, you and I have talked about this as well. Ralph Michaels, my colleague at wagertalk.com, does a lot of statistical database work and systems and whatnot. If you've blindly played under, a couple weeks ago he mentioned this when the Michigan State game was taking place, if you've blindly played under 36.5 or less, and the reason that's important is because 37 is an extremely key number. So at 36.5 or less, everyone starts saying, oh, over, there's line value, it's such a low total. It had been an 80% play to the under for several years. And of course, lo and behold, that Michigan State game lands 42 because of a defensive score. Otherwise, it would have stayed under. And now Iowa's gone under the last 2 weeks with 34 and 21 points. Those totals, by the way, were 38 and 34. So this is a big adjustment. And you do wonder, have they finally priced it low enough where there's no value anymore? But once again, the only way to play these games is under. It's made you a tremendous amount of money despite the low totals. But I do think there's some value with Iowa here as a favorite. And, they don't throw the ball well at all. That is a concern. Minnesota's actually been a bad pass defense. They give up almost 8 yards per pass. They give up over 6 yards per play. They give up over 2 yards per play more than Iowa's allowing. And both teams average less than 5 yards a play on offense. So I think the under makes sense, and I think this is a good spot to take Iowa finally this week.
Yeah, it's not a good Minnesota team. It's most likely the worst PJ Fleck team in 7 years. I was surprised when I saw this line, even though Iowa doesn't score. I almost thought when I saw this line, should Vegas also have, in addition to the point spread, should they have a confidence factor? Meaning, I don't have a whole lot of confidence that Iowa's going to win by much, but I have a ton of confidence that they're just going to win the game.
Right.
And
that's why, it's a shame it's 3.5 because you get to 3 or less. You figure if they're going to win, it's going to probably be by 3 or more. It could be a 1-point win, but it's most likely going to be a 3-point win or more. But yeah, I was a little surprised that I favored them by 13, but I did think 3.5 was short as well before I saw my simulation. So I would agree with you.
They threw for 37 yards last week, Iowa did. And the stat beyond that, they threw for 1 yard after the first quarter. And they just punt. And every time it was 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, they just ran the ball. They didn't even try to throw. They just would rather just punt and let their defense protect the field position. They got the best punter in America. as well. It's just crazy how they play football, but
Yeah.
it's effective in that division. It's effective. Now,
Well, the thing, Mark, too, we mentioned about the Minnesota pass defense. They've given up over 400 yards passing in 2 of their 6 games this year. So, but then again, they held Nebraska and Eastern Michigan the first 2 games to 114 and 71. So that probably is a better comparison to what Iowa can do as opposed to Northwestern and North Carolina the next 2 weeks. But yeah, we joke about Iowa every week, but it is a fun team to watch and a fascinating team to handicap.
Absolutely. Well, Steve's under the radar selection may or may not involve Iowa this week, but you want to check it out regardless because he always comes up with a gem. He's 17-3 against the spread since the beginning of 2022. So where do you get it? 2 ways, folks. Patreon.com/MarkRogersTV. And I won't even go through all the other benefits you get as a Patreon member, but you get Steve's under the radar selection. And then also as a YouTube member on the main channel, just sign up right there. Steve, thanks so much for breaking things down.
Yeah, it will not involve Iowa, so I recommend people go and check it out. It'll be even uglier than this game, if you can imagine.